Hello and welcome to the RV Living Show. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. We love to have new people join us. If you're joining me from before when I was Where the Streets Wander with my husband to now to Design Your RV Life, I just welcome you to the RV Living Show. This is my third week back in after taking a break, and I want to dive in tonight about 3 ways that you can make and keep community while you travel in your RV. So I want you to let me know if you're watching here with me live. Go ahead and put a comment in. And if you're watching on the replay, please put hashtag replay. That way I know that you have watched. And if you have any questions or want to talk more about the topic, stay to the end and we can chat back and forth in the comments and we can talk some more about this topic about making and keeping community while you're on the road. Well, I'm excited you guys are here this week. I hope you're having a good week so far. It is only Monday. And for those of you who got my reminder that I'm going live in 30 minutes, yeah, that was not 6:30 this morning, and I apologize for that. So should have been for 6:30 this afternoon. So hopefully people still got the notifications and they're here watching me and being here with us while we're getting started. So Ruth is here. Hi, Ruth. I haven't seen you in a while. So glad for you to be here. Gabrielle and Kelly. So glad you guys are here with me live tonight. And as more and more people come in, we'll jump back here and talk to y'all when we're done. So 3 ways to make and keep community while you're on the road. So RVing can be kind of lonely. I mean, even if you're traveling with your travel partner, your spouse, your sister, your brother, whoever, and your kids, you're traveling, but your friends and your neighbors that you left back home are not necessarily your RV friends, right? They don't really understand what you're doing or how you're traveling. A lot of them may be envious and they want to do it too, but they haven't started yet. And so when you're on the road, though, it's nice to share things with other people and finding that sweet spot of meeting people and continuing in community with them is sometimes a struggle. So I want to talk about these 3 ways that I came up with, and I bet you guys have a lot more, and I'd love for you to share those at the end so that we can talk about them some more. Okay, so the first one, let me scroll down here because I don't want to forget anything. Is, first of all, let's talk about why we even need community. We need community because it helps enrich our lives. We were created for it. God created us to have community with each other and with Him, right? But at the same time, our community dwindles greatly when we're traveling. And we have to make that extra effort to become more intentional about meeting people and possibly even striking up that friendship or that relationship or that moment in time to just say, hey, let's go to dinner, or how, oh, where have you been? And then those kinds of things. So what was interesting is Brian and I had been in Colonial Beach, Virginia, about 2 years ago, and we met up with a couple and they were right behind us and they pulled in and we were getting ready to leave. We only had about a day with each other. And so we kind of sat around and shared a little bit about what was going on in our lives and things, but we didn't share information or anything. Well, it was interesting that about 8 months later, I looked out my window and I saw this guy and he was doing whatever he was doing around his RV. And I popped open the window to say, hello, how are you? Hello, neighbor. And he started to talk and he started to share a little bit. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we met you guys in Colonial Beach. So if we had taken the time to share information, we would have been able to keep up with each other. So what's a neat way to keep up with people that you meet as you travel is to become friends in Our Village. If you have never signed up with Our Village, you can go here, and it's an RV community just for RVers, just for people who travel and camp in their RV. And the app's a little slow, It's put out by escapees, so it's a nice, safe, controlled environment of getting to know people and getting acquainted. They have a lot of virtual type get-togethers and things. And speaking of virtual get-togethers, I just want you to know that Stop Wondering and Start RVing, my Facebook group, is going to start having these virtual campfire chats once a month inside the group on Zoom. So if you guys aren't already involved in this group, now's the time to join. You can look it up on Facebook, Stop Wondering and Start RVing, and click to join the group, answer the 3 questions, and I'll let you in. And so that's another way to create community, right? We're going to build the community inside Stop Wondering and Start RVing. But there are groups to join also in our village. And so our village is sort of like a Facebook for RVers. You create your profile, you put your picture of your RV in there, and you kind of give a little a synopsis of where you're from, maybe. And there's also a place of saying where you're going. And so when you roll into a campground, you can change your location. And then people who have it set get notifications that you've arrived. And people who want to be friends can reach out to you. There's been times that we rolled into a campground and somebody pinged me and says, hey, we're having, wine over at our campsite, BYOB, but bring your chair and come on and let's get to know each other. And so that is a really cool way of connecting, because you've already made the touch point of that you both are our village members. You've already made this touch point, you're both RVers. But by creating putting these two things together, you're opening up an avenue of getting to know people. And then what's even cooler is you can keep up with them as you move along. You can find them in their profile. You can chat with them in there. It's a really cool place. If you haven't tried our village before, the app, again, it's a little slow, kind of gets me crazy that it takes so long to load sometimes, but it is a great way to have community with other RVers. So the next one that I think is a neat way of building community is that when you meet some like-minded people, so let's say you've made these contacts in our village before, or you meet up with somebody else in a campground and they have you feel like there's somebody that you might be able to travel with. So maybe you should plan a short caravan together. Maybe, in 6 months, they're going to be somewhere and you're going to be able to meet up with them and you guys can move from place to place for a certain period of time that you predetermine how you want to do that. So that way you can camp together, you can get to know each other better, you can make reservations together. But this is also another way to build and keep community, is to have a short caravan together. The third way is to go back to the same place that you've been before. And this happens a lot with people who winter in the same place, because you end up coming back to that place because it's wintertime. You're kind of hunkering down because the South is really where you're going to be until it's warm enough to go, travel up, north of Georgia again, and or Arizona, so you're kind of, and you have this place that you like to go back to, or this section of the country that you like to go back to. And other people do the same thing. It could be that that's their hot spot they love to go back to. And you start to make friends and you plan to meet up, and you're looking forward to having this, continued community with them when you show up. The second RV that we bought from a couple in Virginia, precious couple. They were stopped traveling and they sold us their RV, and they went every winter. They went down to Arcadia, Florida, and camped in the same campground, and they made a community with these people that were back there for the same time period, and they looked forward to that every year. And that doesn't mean you can't take a year off if you don't want to go there, you want to try something different. But it is one way to keep community and keep friends going in your RV life. So, the other thing that can also help you keep community or help you make community are hobbies. So Hobbies, when you're on the road, this is just a bonus. It's not part of the 3 ways, but it is a way. So hobbies can get you connected. So if you like to kayak, you're going to meet up with other kayakers because your guys are all getting in the river together. Or maybe you've met them in a Facebook group like the one that I have, Stop Wondering and Start RVing. Or another great place to have community and find people that you would want to meet up with or like or continue to travel with is in your manufacturer's Facebook group, because they're like Tiffin owners, or for me right now, I have a leisure travel van. So leisure travel van enthusiasts is the one that I'm a part of. And it's a smaller community. It's bite-sized down, niche down, and it's just people who travel in a type of RV like you. Because someone who's got a big 45-foot motorhome and someone who's got a 25-foot motorhome probably don't have the same travel styles. The big 45-footer has certain places that they are comfortable getting into, like getting into. They need more room. The 25-footer can do a lot of boondocking and are quicker travelers. So they may not mesh well together to be traveling together, but if you're in the same manufacturer's Facebook group, you're going to start to, number one, learn more about your RV and meet people who can help or enrich your life through building community with them. So back to the hobbies, quilting, knitting, fishing, kayaking, paddleboarding, hiking. Your hobbies can also help you make community. So as you join different things to do and experience them as you travel, golf, for instance, a lot of people love to meet up at the golf course. And if you're an avid golfer, you like tends to find like, right? So you can look and find those types of people, and then they will help you enrich your life even more by making friends and doing fun stuff. The other part of this is, being willing to be friendly when you're in a campground is half the battle. And just saying hello, striking up a conversation, but don't do like last week when we talked about campground etiquette, right? We don't want to do that while they're backing in. And honestly, that seems like it's the most opportunistic time to do that is to strike up a conversation because they're just pulling in and it's easier to break the ice. But that's when distractions happen and they need to park and they need to get set up. But maybe make an effort to, once they're set up, go over and just, hey, knock, hey, how you doing? We're so-and-so and we're full-timers, or we're so-and-so and we're here for the next week. Or, pickleball is a good thing to talk about too, because a lot of RV parks now have pickleball. And if you've never played pickleball before, you need people to play pickleball with. And so finding people in your campground who go to the pickleball court and maybe you can do a game is another way to build community. Wine and beer seems to be the great community bringer together, right? Everyone's drinking, bring your own cup and have a great time and just chat it up. So, all right. Well, those are the 3 ways, with the bonus way of that I thought of that you can build community. So I'm going to dive into the comments and I want to have a conversation about this. How do you build community? How do you, think about your efforts to make community? What struggles do you have? And do you have any ideas to share with the rest of us? So let's dive in. Okay. Joanne says, and we're back in California. Oh, wow. And Tracy's there's a lot of Californians here. Oh, hello. Brad and Barbara in Tucson at the FMCA rally. Okay, so that's amazing. I meant to say something about that. Rallies are great places to meet like-minded people, and then plan to meet up at some point in the future. And figuring out that way to stay connected, whether it's through Facebook Messenger, or in a smaller group like we talked about. You can even make friends inside Stop Wondering and Start RVing. And as our group is growing, I plan on doing meetups and different things like that where we can all get together face to face, and it's not always over Zoom or through a screen. So, but yeah, the rallies are great to do, and FMCA's got a really good one. Brad will have to tell us about that. Potluck invitation with neighbors. Karen, I love that. I love that idea. That's amazing. So that it's not always on you to like create a dinner for somebody. Because honestly, I would rather have fun than I would cook, if you just really want to know the truth. So a lot of times we would talk to people and go out to dinner with them. But if we made our food and they made their food, or they brought the side and we grilled the hamburgers, potluck invitation with neighbors is a great idea. I love that you shared that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? You guys got some ideas out there of how you can get to know your neighbors? Has anyone ever thought about caravanning before? Have you ever thought about finding another couple that you might like to caravan with? So I'm going to tell you a little story while I wait and see if anybody's going to comment about that. And you're going to laugh at me, but this was impactful in making a decision to RV in my later life that I had no idea that this was something. Okay. So my grandmother passed away. I was an adult at the time, and we were doing the interment, and we were at the cemetery, and we were done, and I happened to walk around and look at the tombstones, because there's some beautiful tombstones in these older cemeteries. People put real nice big ones and all that up, and I came across a tombstone that went across. It was big. It was big, and I guess it went across 4 people, and it had this heart, and it had a sun, and it had an RV going off into the distance, and there was a spot for 4 people, and they there someone had already passed, the other one hadn't. I don't remember the statistics or whatever of who was there, but I knew right away these people were friends and that this is what they did together. And I thought that is such a cool way of, you got your own space, right? You both have your RVs, you can get away from each other, but you can go together to places and enjoy things. And how many times have you been somewhere with your husband or wife, and they want to go do something and you're like, you don't want to do it, but you wish that your wife had somebody to go to that museum with because you didn't want to do that anymore, or you wish your husband had somebody to go play golf with because you were just done, you didn't want to play another game. So there are some benefits to this whole caravanning thing, and that really inspired me. And I really didn't even understand RV lifestyle at that time. I was a pretty young adult, and that was for when I was much older, but I remember that. That was really cool. Bruce says pets are a great way to meet people. Yes, they are. They're like, it's kind of like having small children, taking them to the playground. Same thing. You got a dog, people talk to you, other dog owners, that breaks the ice. You're able to do that, and you might find a friend, right? Terry says game night, cards, and board games. Yeah, but again, right, this doesn't just happen by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to actually invite somebody to come do that. And I think I found that in my own life, I would love the idea, but I didn't make the effort in the first moment to think about inviting those people over. And then it would be too late, or it was an afterthought. So being intentional about it is very cool. Thank you for sharing, Terry. Kelly says, Daniel says, my wife and I just joined a 𝐧𝐞𝐿 Hummingbird group on Facebook. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Because you know what? They can help you. Not only can you make friends, because people who travel in the same kind of RV is, you're like-minded, but also that they can help you with the cool things they upgraded on their RV, or the little crazy things like my step won't go in. Did you have that trouble? How did you fix it? But it's on the same type of RV that you have. So that's very cool. Okay, so Kelly says, just reminded me to reach out to a couple we met this summer while on the road. We used to caravan when I was a kid RVing with my folks. There were 4 families that would go from northern Indiana to northern Wisconsin for probably about 6 summers in a row. See, and those memories are so great. You can't replace those memories. Those are amazing times together, and the community that you built in while doing that is very cool. And Kelly and Christine are here from El Paso. Hello, guys. Thanks for coming on. Okay, well, this has been fun. I love your comments. I love that you are bringing ideas to the table. And you know, the more we RV and the farther we get from home and the longer trips that we take, this becomes more and more prevalent or relevant, I guess I should say, in our lives, as we want to not always be alone or just alone with our spouse, our travel partner. So I know that I have made many new friends through RVing, and I just reached out to one today. It's like, you know, happy birthday, or yesterday, happy birthday, we need to meet up this year. And you know, just figuring that part out, because it is a little harder, because it's not like you're stationary, you are traveling and you're trying to figure all this out. But you know, I think it's worth doing and building those relationships so that you can have friends for a lifetime. Okay, it looks like I've got one more comment here. The best. Oh, Kelly says, yes, those memories are the best. Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right, guys. Well, I don't think it's next week, but the week after, the first week of April, I'm going to start doing once a month a Plan With Me live show, where I'm going to travel plan, and I'm going to talk about how I travel plan. I'm going to talk about how I use my planner to travel plan, and how I kind of go through the whole travel planning process, because travel planning can be difficult, especially if you have to do it a lot. In the beginning, it's super exciting, and you're like, oh, I want to go here and I want to go here, and you know, you get it all planned out and you do all the work. But the more you do it and the more you have to do it, especially as a full-timer, it can get kind of old. And so I want to share some of the things, tips and tricks that I've learned. And so while I do these monthly Plan With Me's, they're going to be about what I'm doing, and I'm going to share my strategy of what I'm doing for the next month, next quarter, and we're going to do these once a month and see how they go. I hope that sounds interesting to you. I hope that's something that you'll show up for. But I wanted to give this a try and see how this is going to go, and see if it benefits you at all. So stay tuned for that for the first week of April. Next week, I didn't write down the title, but it's going to be good. I promise you. So tune in, same time, same place. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe and hit that like button on Facebook. Give me all the love so that the algorithm will tell other people about me, so that we can keep sharing the reality of the RV dream. All right, guys, I'm signing off, and you guys have a great week. See you later. Bye-bye.